Just imagine for a moment, how cool would it be if you could learn from a billionaire? Well, I'll tell you, I have friends now that are billionaires, and I'm gonna tell you, they hang around some really important people that have top tier financial knowledge. Do you wanna know who billionaires financially train with? They're people that run these things called family offices. Probably a new word for you. And today I wanna introduce you to a buddy of mine that owns the coolest family office, Jim Do.
Let's go.
One shot, now the future is yours. Go. I'm turning dreams into reality. Yeah, it's one shot, now the future is yours. Go.
So check it out, I am joined here by my friend Jim. How we doing, buddy?
I'm doing great.
Dude, so Jim comes in town every year, snowbirds up from very hot Phoenix. You bring your wife and you guys hang out in Park City. And that just happened to be perfect to have Jim here with me. Jim has been giving me access to his fractional family office for the last couple of years. And today, Jim, we're gonna be talking about this. 3 things billionaires do best, but is today's video just for billionaires?
No. In fact, what we're going to teach you today are things you can use that can take you from wherever you are to a level of wealth you probably haven't even imagined that you can get to.
All right, so today we're introducing this term called a family office, and a lot of people don't know what it is because it applies to billionaires or in the least people worth traditionally hundreds of millions of dollars. And there's a definition here right from Investopedia, and basically it says the wealthy need a family office. Providing advice and services for the wealthy is far beyond the capacity of any one professional advisor. It requires a well-coordinated effort by a team of professionals from the legal, insurance, investment, estate, business, and tax disciplines. Given the complexity of this situation, a family office is essential to manage the assets and align interests of very wealthy people. But Jim, you don't just provide this for like the uber wealthy, you invented something altogether different.
Yeah, well, when I first learned about this concept, I got to spend time with a billionaire family in New York, and I thought, that's incredible. I want to have that first for me and my family because we don't have hundreds of millions of dollars, and then to help other entrepreneur business owners, others who have just started their journey of their wealth building. And that's what we did. We created something that applies to many people. It applies to you. So you can take these concepts that billionaires use and actually use them to create incredible wealth on your own.
Okay, so I need to disclose that when I met Jim a couple years ago, it's because I had this situation. I was so good at making money that now all of a sudden I was paying millions of dollars to the government, and I just felt like my CPA and the person that was helping me on my accounting side, something felt very insufficient, and enters Jim in a mastermind that we met each other at. And Jim, it kind of answers this question right here, which is a family office really only for the wealthy?
Yeah, it's not. It's really for everyone. It used to be for the wealthy. It used to be the secret the billionaires knew that nobody knew, but now it's available to really anyone. And this is if you're in a situation where you're asking yourself questions like, am I paying too much in taxes? Is my team, do they really have my back? Do I have a great accountant who's helping me on the tax planning? Is my asset protection together? And by the way, everyone needs asset protection because you never know when you might get in a lawsuit. And that's everything from the basic kinds of insurance all the way up to advanced entity and trust design. But all of these components about getting this coordinated team of professionals to build your wealth and sustain your wealth, this applies to you just like it applies to me, just like it applies to Kris.
So today's video is about awakening your financial genius. That's why you're a subscriber on this channel. I don't just talk about real estate. I don't just talk about business. We talk about solving problems. And one of the problems that I actually want to contribute to in your life is helping you be so successful that you're gonna need someone like Jim in it. So today, he's gonna share 3 core principles of what a fractional or a virtual family office does for someone that is in the process of attempting to build wealth so that when they get there, they can someday own their entire family office. But in the meantime, there are services out there like Jim that can help you get started. And what's this first principle of impeccable infrastructure?
Yeah, this is really the people and the process. And everyone starts somewhere, so where are you? So if you look at this matrix, many of you may be the ostrich, and that's okay, but the ostrich ignores and avoids. It says,
and real quick, this is easy,
yeah,
but sloppy.
Yeah, exactly.
So this was me as a beginner entrepreneur that said, hey, like I know how to make money, but I don't really understand accounting. I don't understand tax planning. I don't know how to be tax efficient. And I just put my head in the ground and basically hid from the world. It was easy to do, but it was sloppy. It was a very, very poor thing to do.
Yeah. And beyond the ostrich, you might be the juggler. And the juggler, as this says, is hard to be the juggler, and you get sloppy results because you have all these balls in the air. You're trying to figure out, what am I doing with my insurance and my investments and all these legal things I have to do in addition to the tax planning. So that's the juggler.
Is that like, it's just not realistic for someone to have the bandwidth to like, oh sure, I can think on behalf of like the legal team and the CPA and my accountant and basically put it all together and like create really functional strategies?
It doesn't work.
Seems really, really challenging.
Yeah, it's challenging. You can't really succeed long-term in that, and it's really stressful. If you're the juggler, you know what I mean. It's stressful. Once you move beyond that, here's a better place to be. That's the air traffic controller, and that's where you really have excellent professionals in those areas of tax, legal, insurance, and investment, but you're the one in charge of the team. So it's hard to be the air traffic controller because you have to pay attention to all these things. You have to take, if there's a tax law change or a law change in your state, you have to pay attention, but you can get excellent results. It's just hard work.
You know, I always tell people that in the beginning, I was doing everything on my own because my dad, he taught me as a 16-year-old. I'll never forget the moment. I was working with my dad during one summer, and he was in construction, and my dad, he was planing this fireplace, this custom fireplace he was building. He said, son, if you want something done right, do it yourself. Because I was like, even then I was like, Dad, you're getting, like, I answer the phones, like so many more people want to do jobs with you. You should hire more people and expand your company. He's like, no, if you want it done right, you have to do it yourself. You can't trust people. And I'm like, okay, my dad's older than me and he's my dad, so he's probably right. And by the time I was in my mid-20s, I was like, screw that. That is so hard. I said, if you want something done right, don't do it yourself. And that's this air controller, right? It's bringing in experts, and yet you're still a huge part of the mix. It's hard, and it's something that if you do with excellence, it'll get you down the road, but it's not the best option.
It will. Eventually, you want to move to the family office structure, and that's where you have amazing professionals in all those areas, helping you in asset protection and tax planning, insurance, all those different areas, but you're not running the team day to day. You have someone who is an expert in all those areas coordinating the team on your behalf. So then you're the visionary. You're setting the goals, but the team is running it, and the team has a team leader that's taking care of things on your behalf. That's when you get true freedom, and that's when you actually really get the dramatic improvement in the wealth that you have and in your ability to grow and even do bigger things.
So, Jim, there's a lot of people watching this video. Some of them are just starting out financially. I got teenagers watching this. You might be watching this saying, hey, actually, I went to college, or I didn't, but I got a great job. Or you might be that entrepreneur with multiple streams of income and you're really starting to get things figured out. How does this apply to everyone that could be watching this right now? Let's just start with people that they're at the beginning of their wealth planning journey. Like, they haven't really built any yet, but they're here subscribed and watching and reading my books and doing some things and other people so that they can get there. How does this apply?
The first thing you need to do is start thinking about building your team. And your team is made up of a good accountant, maybe a bookkeeper if things are more complicated, an insurance agent. In your personal life, if you have a business, you need a corporate insurance agent. You need an attorney, different kinds of attorneys. You might need a corporate attorney if you have a business. You might need an estate attorney to do some basic wills and trusts. But you want to start building your team. And just pick one professional. Maybe it's an accountant, because that's an important one. Pick one professional and find an A player and start to go deep to get that one professional done right. Then you can start adding the others to create the team. And then once you have a good team, then you can get real results.
So even if you have a single source of income and you've got a job and you're like, dude, I don't have much of a net worth, and maybe I throw a little bit into my 401k, maybe I've just bought a house, I'm just starting to build some equity in that with appreciation. Well, you're right, you might need a CPA. And if you're gonna find one, find a really, really good one, have a member of your team that you know is an A player because they service the kind of clients that you wanna become. So I get it, right? We don't wanna be the ostrich that just ignores. We don't want to try to do it all of ourselves without having the right people on board. Eventually, if we get the right people, if we're involved, it's going to cost a lot of time. But then you graduate to a family office of experts, and all I'm getting from this image is, I like the beach, I like the family, I like the travel. Tell me about this wheel right here.
Often people have what we call a financial flat tire. And this is because over your lifetime, you pick up an accountant, an attorney, an insurance agent, maybe an investment person, a banker. You get these different professionals like spokes on a wheel. Guess what? They're usually not all A players. They're usually not talking to each other. But the worst part is you're in the middle managing that team when you don't speak the languages of tax, legal, insurance, and investment. We want you to think about having this functional wealth wheel. This is where all of these players on the wheel, all these experts have been vetted, and they're all excellent. They're all A players. They're talking to each other. They're collaborating to get you the best results. But then you have someone in the middle who knows how to run and build a team like this so that you become like that pedal, where you can effortlessly move that big wheel without being stuck in the middle.
So I'll tell you, when I owed millions of dollars to the government, in walks Jim, and I bring him my existing team, steps in and basically starts calling the shots, quarterbacking, pulling things together, revealing the strategies. Within a few short months, by the time we got to the end of the year and it came time just in spring the next year to file taxes, I ended up saving millions of dollars. And that was your team's expertise that actually did all this. So by the way, I'm a huge raving fan, and I love that it starts by just trying to find one person that is a cut above and that is not average. Let's talk about the second thing that billionaires do well, which is wealth creation, or sometimes what's called wealth discovery. People needlessly leak money and time and are often not aware of it. Wealth creation is not just about paying attention to the profits and losses, but it's also about knowing what investments not to take. Explain this.
Yeah, well, one thing that we see a lot is many of you probably make enough money to get seriously wealthy over time, but the problem is you're leaking money. You don't know where all your money's going. Take a close look at your expenses. If you run a business, look at your P&Ls, find out where you're leaking money. There's probably ways you're leaking money that you haven't even thought about, which could be put toward investments and your future growth. In addition to that, a lot of people don't get wealthy because they make bad investments or bad investment choices. You want to be very clear about the things that you're looking to invest in and focus on those. Don't get distracted listening to your friends or listening to people who haven't built the wealth, but think about what you want to invest in and really focus on that.
Don't pretend like you don't know what he's talking about. A cup of coffee morning, afternoon, and evening. Dude, that kind of adds up. Netflix binging.
Yeah.
Oh, and the 9 other platforms that you have for streaming. Like, even outside of business, the reality is we got leakage everywhere. And it's time to say, wait, let's do a hard look at where the money is flowing and figure out what money is flowing in places that makes money, where's money flowing that doesn't make money, and then let's recapture some of that and use it intelligently. So Jim, there's a third thing that billionaires do that you've seen across the ranks as you've worked with them, which is they have this compelling focus. What is this, and what should we be modeling or mimicking if we want to become wealthy?
Yeah, when it comes to compelling focus, if you're pushing to get wealthy, and let's say you want a Ferrari, you want a cool home, that's great. But you're going to have to push and push and push. It's better to have something that pulls you forward that's greater than you. And that's compelling focus. Every billionaire I've ever met, every wealthy person I've ever met, they have a compelling focus. And in my own situation, I'll tell a simple story. When I was a math teacher, a public school math teacher, I wanted to make a difference in my mom's life because she had done so much for me. And I didn't have any money, but I said to myself, one day when I'm successful enough, I'm going to do something for my mom. And that time came when my mom was in her 80s. And my wife, Mimi, and I were over at her townhome, and we noticed that the floors weren't that clean, the toilets weren't that clean, and my mom always kept an immaculate house. And it struck me, I realized that she wasn't able physically to take care of the house anymore. So Mimi and I sat and we talked about it, and we said, we'll just hire a cleaning service to come in every 2 weeks, and that was my way to give back. We sat with my mom and we told her that we're going to have this cleaning service came in. And my mom's not a crier. She had tears running down her face. She was so moved by that gesture. And every 2 weeks, my mom would call me up and she would say, it's Christmas. I'd say, Mom, it's Christmas? And she'd say, yeah, the cleaning people are here. And that was what I was able to do for my mom. And that was a compelling focus that I had. I didn't even know what it would look like. I just said, one day I'm going to help my mom out. And that opportunity came. Now, you might think that's not that much money, but the impact it had on her life was incredible.
Jim, I want to tell you something I know about this person right here because of the people that I track that subscribe and kind of watch these videos. Is they have big hearts. They're motivated by giving back. They're motivated by their parents that they want to help and the good they want to do in society. There's a really good chance you don't care to be really crazy wealthy and rich. You do want some flexibility and mobility and enough money to make the choices that you want that would honor your mission and purpose in life. And that's why I'm really glad that we're making this video today, because part of creating wealth, I think, does start with the why that is motivating it. The wealthy that stay wealthy, they know their values and they achieve their goals. And most importantly, they're building something bigger than themselves. For me, my mom and dad were a huge part of that as well, is that My parents had 9 kids. I'm number 4, and I knew at one point that they weren't going to have anything for retirement because they always fought about money. And so, I had the opportunity and frankly the honor over 10 years ago to take my parents in and to care for them. And frankly, it's been the most meaningful thing that I've ever done. That's now shifted in my foundation that my wife and I have. At some point you can only spend so much money, but on what? At some point we got to care about the why behind it. So I'm really glad that you're drawing this out, because people that go on to become extraordinarily successful, they're driven by something more than just blatant materialism. And there's nothing wrong with nice cars or nice house and some of these things or world travel, but you're right. It is easier to stick with something when it's hard and difficult when it's in service of another person instead of just yourself.
Yeah, they say the most selfish act you can do is doing something for someone else, because it makes you feel so good. There's nothing that is as fulfilling as when you're serving others and helping others, whether it's your parents, your children, your grandchildren, friends, or other charities you might serve. And that's the compelling focus that you want to figure out for yourself. What is it in your heart? What is it that moves you? And use that as your compelling focus to drive your wealth forward.
Jim, I got a big question for you. If someone wants to level up their financial life, how important is it for them to get a financial game plan?
You have to have a game plan. Imagine any sport where you had no game plan. You're just going to get destroyed on the field. So make sure you have a game plan about what you're trying to achieve, how you're going to get there, the professionals that you need on your team, and start now.
And I'm going to tell you right now that if you want to build wealth and you're ready to make that real for yourself and you want to take some action, what would it be like if you could actually step into, for example, my shoes, someone like Jim's shoes, consult with a member of my team and let them just share, hey, let me share some ideas based on where you're at. Because Jim and I, we started from nothing and we built ourselves. And if you're ready to build yourself, you're going to need a financial game plan to get there. In the link below, you can request a free consultation with a trained member of my team. They're going to take a look at exactly where you're at, and then they're going to give you as many game plan options as possible. I've trained them for most people to show you at least 3, 4, or 5 options that you've never considered before, more than likely, that would help you financially get ahead. If you'd like to have your free game plan, click the link below and let me reveal some options for you. Check this out. Jim, over the last 20 years, you've helped a lot of people, both great and small financially speaking, get somewhere in life, produce some amazing wealth. And you recently had a client this last year that had a big exit, like over $1 billion. True or false?
True.
How cool is it to help them with that?
Incredible. Well, 20-year journey and just great people.
If you don't know what exit means, it means that you own a business, you build it up, and you have the intention of selling it. I'm going to tell you right now that I love business, and one of the top reasons is because you're building an asset that can eventually be sold and produce an amazing, attractive exit as it continues to move forward in the world and create great value for other people. If you want to learn more about this one thing in business, the exit, and the secret of how to do it right, click this video right over here, join me, and let me show you how. But you know what? There's a man I'm about to introduce you to. This is an individual who's worked with billionaires, who's worked with people that are worth all sorts of money. I'm going to go in that direction. Does that work for you?
Yes, that works better. That was great, Kris.
Careful.